Awesome. Okay. So, Danielle, I want to talk a little bit. First, I want to hear kind of your background story. Like, obviously, most entrepreneurs don't grow up going, I'm going to start my own business and it's going to be this. So, tell me a little bit about like what you were doing previously and kind of what made you want to become an entrepreneur and start your own business.
Yeah, I mean honestly, I feel like I was kind of like a late bloomer in terms of career and making money and feeling established. I was a server, bartender for years. Um that was I call that like the golden handcuffs because you like make really good money and your schedule's really fun and all these things, but you're like I can't do this forever. Like what am I gonna do? So I did that for a while, and then I actually started my own personal training business during that time. And I was a personal trainer for a few years, and I didn't really like that. I didn't like the schedule. It just wasn't for me. Like, I love health and fitness, but I was like, I do not want this to be my life. Like, this just isn't for me. So I ended up getting like an office job as an executive assistant and then became a personal assistant, which was like more pay, a different company, and was doing that for a little bit and was like, all right, like this is okay. Like I know this isn't my forever thing. This is all right. And then COVID hit and I got laid off from that job because they like escaped to their house in Napa and they like didn't know if they were going to come back to Colorado. They're like, well, we don't really need a personal assistant anymore. So I was like, all right, now what am I going to do? Like, I don't want to go back to the restaurant industry, especially during COVID, where it's like, restaurants aren't a thing really. And I was like, well, I've always been interested in the medical industry. Maybe I'll go back to school to be a physician's assistant because I did done some college here and there, like some biology courses, things like that. It's like that could be pretty easy. And I was like, well, you still have to make money, right? Like you can't just like go to school and not make money. That's just not possible. So I was like, all right, well, I'll clean houses. Like I love to clean. I know how to do it. I had like a crazy stepmom growing up that would like white glove test me, which is like a story for another day. So like I learned how to clean really efficiently and really well because I never wanted to get in trouble and I just wanted the job to be done with as quick as possible. So I was like, okay, I know how to clean and I knew I could like make my own hours and like I could build it around my school schedule. So I'm like, okay, I'll do that. So I started a profile on care.com, which is like a website where you can find like caregivers or house cleaners, dog walkers, things like that. And people wanted to hire me to clean their house. So I started going in and they started referring their friends and I was doing a good job and I was like, wow, like I quickly like within a month I had a full-time schedule. And I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't go back to school. Maybe I should just focus on this, start a website, see how far I can take this cleaning business because this is like really good money and I actually enjoy doing it. And before you knew it, within a year, I hired my first employee and it just kind of took off. It'll be 5 years this June that I've had it. And yeah, like we're 9 employees deep right now. And it just kind of totally took off and just fell into my lap, truly.
That's awesome. Like you don't hear many stories like that of people kind of like, well, I'm kind of good at this, so let's go ahead and pivot and it like taking off right
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. I was
That's
Thank you.
awesome.
I was super shocked too. Like I couldn't believe it. Like never in a million years would I think I would have a cleaning company. Like ever, 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 ever. It's just so serendipitous how it all came together. Like not
Yeah.
seamlessly, like there were definitely challenges along the way, trust me, and there still are and there will always be. But the way it happened, I was like, wow, I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing because it all just felt so right in the direction I was going with it.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. So where is your business at now? You said you've got nine
Hmm.
employees
Yep.
now. And so you basically are kind of sending them out on jobs and are you still doing mostly residential or what are you
Yeah,
doing?
we're mostly residential. I really want to break into the commercial space, but I don't want to be like so attached to that as like the only way to grow is to get into commercial. Because I recently talked to like a mentor that's like, don't like limit yourself to just commercial to think that's the only way to grow. Like there's tons of ways to grow in the residential sector. But yeah, we're mostly residential. We have a lot of recurring, like the biweekly, the monthly cleanings. We love to partner with realtors because when it starts to warm up the weather, we get a lot of move out cleanings, a lot of like showing cleanings, things like that. We recently partnered with a builder in Boulder, Colorado. So we're doing more like post-construction cleaning projects, which I found is really lucrative. So I'm like, oh, I need to reach out to more builders. This is really good. So that's a great way to grow the business too. But yeah, mostly residential. And we're all organic and non-toxic too. We just made that switch fully this year because we found this huge demand. Clients were requesting non-toxic products, and I'm like, all right, let's just market ourselves as that. And that's been really beneficial for us. People like seek us out because of that, which has been great.
Yeah. So, talk to me a little bit about kind of some struggles early on, right? Like building a business is not as easy as it
Yeah.
sounds, right? A lot of people think that you can just jump into a business and it just takes
Mhm.
off, right? Like you get an idea, you do a website and you're off and running. Talk to me a little bit about some of the struggles or some of the hurdles that you have encountered while building this business and kind of what did you do to get around those and kind of keep going?
Yeah, I would say my biggest struggle was hiring the right people. That was so difficult for me. I've never been a manager. I've never managed people. I've never like I just really didn't know what I was doing. I was like, all right, where do I find people to clean? Like, how do I trust them? How do I have like the hiring process? All of that was really foreign to me. And I definitely was finding myself like being a bit of a pushover in the beginning because I'm very much so a people pleaser. So I didn't want to like upset my employees and I wanted them to know they were taken care of and kind of like coddled them a little bit. And I found that that was like the wrong thing to do because that was negatively affecting my business. So I was still going through like the hiring process of like background checks, making sure they're like vetted and a good person. But in terms of like if someone like called out like 3 weeks in a row, I was like, it's fine. They're just going through a hard time when really they just didn't want to work and I was just being too nice and they were taking advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really challenging in the beginning to like understand like what boundaries I needed to put in place for my employees, but also make sure that they know that like I really respect and appreciate them and that there is room for growth with like monthly bonuses and raises and team lead positions and like giving them incentives because I mean a house cleaner position it is sort of a revolving door. Like it can be that position, and it's not like a high barrier to entry. So making sure that they know like they are appreciated. I'm really grateful for what they do. Making sure that I'm sending them into like a safe place as well by doing my job, by going on consultations because before when it was just me, I would just show up at the house. Like I wouldn't see it first like whatever, it's just me. I'm going to go clean like I'm getting myself in this situation, but then I realized like okay, you can't like do that to other people. Like you have to see the home first because I have gotten myself in situations where I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't think I can do this, but you already commit, right? So things like that, just making sure that I'm doing my job correctly. I'm being a good manager. I'm being a good boss so that I retain the right employees. I trust my gut of like knowing, like, okay, this is not going to be a good fit or this is going to be a good fit. And in the beginning I just went against that because I was so desperate to hire people because the demand for cleaning was so high where I just like ignored that like oh their resume, the longest they've been at a job is 6 months, like ignoring those kinds of signs. So yeah, I learned a lot about myself and a lot about people and a lot about like what they need and how to work together and how to be like a firm but kind, understanding boss at the same time.
For sure. And you're mentioning boundaries as far as, setting things up for yourself and for your employees. What do you think is like some of the most important boundaries that an entrepreneur can have, whether it is for themselves and their business or if it is between them and their employees?
That's a great question. Yeah, I I would say one of the biggest boundaries for me is that I used to like always, and it's not that I don't always work, but I would be so like anxious like if a new client call came in, it was like a Saturday afternoon, or some sort of business situation came in that didn't necessarily require my immediate attention. I would be in the middle of like lunch with a friend or doing something and I'd be like, hang on, I gotta handle this, when it wasn't something that needed my direct attention. But because I was just so I'm so big on communication, and it's like when you're an entrepreneur and like a lead comes in, like you want to jump on it, right? But there's also like a time and a place for that. Like my weekends, I've learned to set a boundary. We're like, no, it's a Saturday or it's a Sunday. Like it's okay for me to wait a little bit to get back to this client, even if I need to wait until Monday morning because it's a new client inquiry. That's okay for me to get back to them then because this is my time off. This is my time to like enjoy myself and not feel like this pressure that I have to like always be working 24/7 because it's so easy to put that pressure on yourself as an entrepreneur. But if you don't set those boundaries and you don't give yourself time off and time to just like decompress, you're going to burn out so quickly and you're going to end up not liking your business very much.
That's that's one of the biggest things that I hear since I have started having guests on with Professionally She is that it's like the world is not on fire and that phone call can wait and a couple of hours or even to the following business
Hmm.
day. I'm so guilty about that. If I have a lead or something that comes in, I will be so anxious until I get that solved and resolved and put
Hmm.
together, where it was causing me to burn out so
Hmm.
fast because I didn't set those boundaries for myself. Do you feel like now that you've put these boundaries in place, you've really kind of established what is and what is not okay for you? Do you feel like that has significantly increased your productivity and the success of your
Oh,
business?
100%. Absolutely. Like I was at a point in my business where I was thinking about selling it because I was just like so overwhelmed. I was so stressed out. I was so anxious. And I was like, you got to figure something else. Like you have to just find a way to manage your time better, to make time for yourself and to not feel so anxious because who
Mhm.
wants to feel that way in their business? And granted, like those feelings are going to come and go. It's not going to be kittens and rainbows all the time. It never is in anything. But yeah, I have definitely found that I have been able to prioritize my time more efficiently in order to do the things that are able to grow the business and like actually yield positive results. And yeah, it's been a game changer for sure.
When you're talking about essentially time blocking, right? Managing your schedule better, being more on top of it, what does that look like for you? And what did it like beforehand? Obviously, that's never going to be perfect until you find the right schedule, the right
Hmm.
routine. What were you doing previously that was not working? And what did you implement that is now working as far as your schedule goes?
Yeah, so before, so in the beginning, I was working all the time. I was out, I was cleaning, I was training people, I was doing all this, and then I built it up to a point where I didn't have to be in the field as much, where I could just be more like take a back seat and do things on the back
Yeah.
end. And that's kind of where sometimes it would mess with my mind a little bit because I was so used to go, 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 go. And then when I brought my business to a place where I didn't have to do that, like I felt guilty for like not having something to do. So I would just make myself crazy in that regard. Like, all right, like you have to be doing something. You have to be making phone calls. You need to be going to networking events. Like you can't just sit around and do nothing. Like your business is going to crumble before you if you do that. So that was a lot of pressure I put on myself. So something that's really worked for me is just setting a schedule where like okay by 9 o'clock in the morning just make sure you get the things that you need to get done in the beginning of the day, like your admin things, like what the invoices are going to be sent out today, what the schedule looks like. Make sure you're clear on all that. And then if you don't really have anything to do until like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that's okay. Like don't beat yourself up over that. That's all right. Maybe make a list of some clients that you can follow up with or things like that, or just like go on a walk with your dog. Like if you really don't have anything to do and everything's running really well and there's cleaners are out there doing a great job and clients are happy, like what's the big deal? Like that's a beautiful place to be in. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. That was like a
Mm-hmm.
big thing for me to like not guilt myself into feeling like I have to constantly be working to have a successful business.
Yeah. You don't have to work 20 hours a day to be
Right.
successful,
Yeah.
right? I mean, obviously there are some days and there's a time and place for
Hmm.
everything, but there's not necessarily this necessity for entrepreneurs to be running themselves into the ground just because they feel like they have
Exactly.
to because they're an
Yeah.
entrepreneur. If your business is running successfully, then you have done your job successfully and you can just continue to
Right.
maintain that. there's been a lot of controversy on a video from a previous guest on what she referred to as protected hours. So she does not answer her phone between X and X hours of the day. Those are her protected hours of which she spends time with her family, does appointments, whatever that may
Mm-hmm.
be. After posting that to social media, there was quite a spread of opinions. It was either I'm successful because I always answer my phone and I never turn a phone call down, or there is that's a must for my mental health and for my
Mm-hmm.
business. What do you say about that? How do you feel about having protected hours or you don't not answering your phone at certain times of the day? What does that look
I
like
think
to
that's
you?
huge. I love that. And that's something that I've implemented in my business because if I get a text or a call after 6 p.m. that doesn't need my like immediate attention, like, for like, I've had clients be like, hey, it is an emergency where, the cleaners left something here. Like, can you reach out to, there have been those situations where I'm like, all right, I really do have to like get to this. But
Sure.
I think that's amazing. I think more people should do that because that's good for your mental health, especially if you have a family. Like you need to, and young kids, you need to give them the time that they need to feel nurtured and feel supported. And I think having those protected hours are super important. However, I don't think that's like for everyone. Like there are some people that are just like, I'm always going to answer my phone. I'm always going to do this. This is what I need to do for my mental health. This is what I need to do to feel good and successful in my business. And that's great. But you can't like guilt people into having protected hours because that's what works for them and their business. But if you're also that person that has protected hours, don't, look at the person that, is constantly answering their phone and being like, wow, like you're going to burn out. Like you don't know that. They could totally thrive in an environment
Mm,
like that. So I think it just really depends on the
yeah.
person, but yeah, protected hours are great. I highly recommend it because it really works for me.
Yeah. I'm the type of person that if I'm sitting still and I'm not doing something as far as business related, house chores, whatever that might be, I feel like I'm being lazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I struggle with. And I know that a lot of women also feel this way because they are maintaining a household, whether they have a family or not. There are a lot of things that fall on women as far as house chores and business. And if you have kids, it's taking care of the kids, it's taking care of your partner or your spouse. If you don't have a partner or spouse, it's taking
Yeah.
care of yourself. So, what are you doing to make sure that you are not burning yourself out and you are taking care of yourself as a single female
Yeah.
entrepreneur?
I love that. Yeah, I really like I am all about self-care. It's been so important to me for such a long time and I will always prioritize eating right, working out and meditating and good sleep. Like those are the things that like are essential every single day for me and I make sure to prioritize it. Even if I have to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to make sure I get a workout and a meditation in, I will do that because it sets the tone for my day and it just makes me feel
Mhm.
so much more at peace. And even if like it's a slow day, like I have a meeting in the morning, so I have to wake up early and get my workout done, and then I don't have anything else to do the rest of the day, I am okay with that because I know like I started my day with like that self-care routine that is so important to me.
Mhm.
Um, I am very similar to you though. Like there are times where I do feel guilty for just like sitting around, even though it's just me and my animals here. I'm like, man, like
Yeah.
you should really like vacuum your floors or you should, maybe clean your kitchen a little bit. Like I get those feelings too, where it's just because I think as women, like we like to move our bodies. We like to like be doing
Yeah.
something, like to be physical, even if it's just like walking around your house picking up things. Like it just for me, it feels good. But there's a difference between like doing that because it makes you feel good and doing that because you feel guilty. You know what I mean? Like there's a huge difference in those two things.
There we've talked about this within my community about the guilt of sitting and just being. The guilt of maybe not pushing yourself to the absolute breaking
Hmm.
point as an
Hmm.
entrepreneur. How do you keep yourself from feeling that way?
I because I know deep down like I'm doing a good job, because if I wasn't doing a good job, my phone would be blowing up. I would be losing employees. I wouldn't be success, have the profits that I have in my business. I would be struggling to pay my rent. Like I know just like by my lifestyle, by how, things are going, that I am doing a good job. I'm kind of one of those people that like I react to a situation. So if the building's on fire, I am going to like do everything I can to put it out. But if the building's not on fire and things are going well, I feel really, I'm like, okay, like I just remember that like things are good. Like focus on the things that are going right. Like be grateful that your business is at the point that it is. Like, do I want to grow it more? Absolutely. But I can just take one action step a day to do that, instead of like feeling like I have to do 20 action steps every day until like I reach this, financial goal that I want. Like, no, like it's okay to take your time because your business is in a good place, and remembering that and being grateful for it. And also something that I think about, it's like you busted your ass to get to this point. Like I worked so freaking hard to get my business here. Like I have earned some time to like sit and just chill and not feel like I have to be busting my ass constantly. And just remembering that is really powerful for me.
That's, yeah. There's something so powerful in remembering how far you've
Totally.
come, right? Like there are times in which I currently in this current state, and you and I have had this conversation about my current situation, is the lack of self-worth when it comes to
Mm,
business, right? Women tend to really correlate their success in business with their
hmm.
self-worth. What do you say about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's totally normal. I've done that before. I definitely feel that way. Like if my business isn't successful, then I suck. I'm doing something wrong, because it's so easy to get trapped in that mindset, because when you are your own boss, like you don't have like there's no one else to look to. There's no one else to be like, "Well, you
Yeah.
did that and that's your fault." It's like you don't have any higher up person to like ask questions or blame,
Yep.
not blame, that's a terrible word, but you know what I mean? Like it is all on
Yeah.
you. So it's so easy to like get down on yourself. But also you just have to remember like no one's perfect. Like you're gonna mess up, you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna fail, you're gonna do things that like you probably shouldn't have done, but that's okay. Like the biggest takeaway, like I've done so many things in my business where I'm like, what the hell were you thinking? Like that was such a stupid thing to do. But I'm so glad that those moments happened, because it allowed me to learn and be like, all right, don't do that again. And yes, I've beaten myself up. And yes, I've been like, God, like, why are you even doing this? You're not an entrepreneur. Like, you should just go back to school like you were going to. Like, those thoughts have definitely creeped in numerous
Yeah.
times. But just remembering like it's okay to fail. Like in those failures, in those moments, that's when you're going to grow the most. And if you can come out of that and being like, you know what? I know not to do that again, and I'm going to do it a different way, and I'm going to trust my gut and trust myself and like do something different so I don't do that next time. And that's okay that I messed up. Like I'm not a bad person because of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. There is beauty in mistakes,
Totally.
right? There is so much to be said about mistakes that are made that you learn
Hmm.
from, right? There's not necessarily failures are always just failures. You have to fail forward in order to be successful,
100%.
right? As far as things like your daily habits, what are you doing on a regular basis? Like the things that you do every day. You mentioned you meditate, you're really focused on your overall health and well-being, but when it comes to your business, what are you doing every day as like a daily habit to make sure your business is progressing in the right direction?
That's a great question, and that's something that I do struggle with. I'll be totally honest with you, because my business is at a point where I am very comfortable and it is very self-sustaining, and I really want to grow it and I really want to level it up. So I'm like, okay, you're not going to do that by just doing the same thing. Like you have to take action steps. So I wouldn't say like it's daily things, but it's like weekly things. Like, so one week I'll be like, okay, you're going to reach out to 10 different realtors this week. It's not going to be all on the same day, but I just like, today I'm going to find the list of realtors. And then tomorrow I'm going to make the phone calls and send the emails. And then and that'll be it. Like that will truly be it. And then one thing else too is like thinking of like, okay, for next week, what can I do? What can I do? Okay, let's send an email to all of your current clients for a referral offer. Let's, make a social media post about, 20% off for all new clients. So I wouldn't say they're daily, they're more weekly for me, just because that's just kind of how I like to do it. And it just works for my
Okay.
schedule. It works for my business. And it's already paid off. Like I got in contact with a builder in Boulder. I'm like, okay, like this is great. Like that's a good pace for me. That works for me. Um, and yeah, and just checking in with my girls every day too. I definitely make sure that's a priority. Like I always check in with them. Like how did they, not to micromanage, but just to be like, how did everything go today? Do you have any questions? Are you good? And they're like, yeah, all's good, D. Or like, no, this was a little messy this time. Like, could you ask the client maybe if they could, pick up their dirty underwear off the floor so we don't have to do it? Like, yeah, got you. Like things like that.
Yeah, nobody's here to pick up dirty underwear,
It's kind of
okay?
gross. That's why they have gloves, but still, it's gross.
Yeah, right? Exactly. If you were to say the biggest lesson that you have learned to
Mm,
date, what would that be?
trusting myself. Like,
That's
yeah, like
powerful.
really, like knowing, like that almost makes me want to tear up because it's been such a powerful lesson for me that I have just lacked the confidence and the trust in myself to really know that like I have the answers inside of me. Like the answer that I
Mhm.
need that's right for me, that's right for my business is here. And trusting that feeling has been so huge, not only in my business, but just in my day-to-day life.
You're gonna
I
make
know
me
it's
cry.
not.
Because anybody in business, whether you're male, female, it doesn't really matter. What it comes down to is trusting yourself and trusting your gut. And you and I have had this conversation as I go through, some things with work. And it's like, I haven't been trusting my
Hmm.
judgment. I'm deathly afraid of making the wrong call, of making the wrong move. And my confidence has really been
Yeah.
shot. And that's because of a multitude of factors. But you're 100% right that the biggest lesson that we can learn is that we have to trust ourselves and we have to just continue moving forward. It might not work the first time, it might not work the second time, but it will work the third time and the fourth time. And we just got to keep learning and keep
Exactly.
growing.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
love that. Where can people find you on whether it's email, social media? Where can they
Yeah,
find you?
RockyMountainCleaners.com is our website. Our everything's on there, email, contact form. If you just go to RockyMountainCleaners.com, everything will be there. That's how you can send a contact form. I already said that. I'm not super active on social media, so my social media is Rocky M Cleaners for Instagram. That's a great way to get a hold of me too, but email through the website is the easiest, best way to get a hold of me. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. We will put that in the show notes so that everyone knows where to
Thank
find
you.
you. And hopefully you'll get a little bit busier now that we've had this
You're
conversation.
amazing. This has been so fun. I love
Um,
this.
It's super easy. It's, a lot of people get really worried because they think that, oh, it's recorded, it's going to be posted, and that everything is going to be like so scary. But it's really just a conversation between you and me about business and kind of what we can do to help grow your
Mm,
business and get you a little bit more exposure, but also teaching others how to become an entrepreneur and how to really understand and learn and grow because we're all in this
yeah.
together. We're not, individuals where everyone is better together as one. And so I'm really glad that you took the time to jump on and chat
Yeah.
with me.
Thank you for chatting with me. I really love this. This was super easy and fun. And I just love talking to you, so that was really easy too.
Hmm, hmm. I'm going to stop the recording, but we can talk for
Okay.
just a second after this. Let me just stop this real fast.